today. We are waiting on a couple more people to call in, so we are going to get organized here in a few minutes and be right back with you. Thanks. now, and we have, I think, all the callers organized and applicants, people in opposition and people in support. So we should be able to run through the meeting fairly smoothly. I did want to mention one point that our chair, Chair Cox, is on the phone with us and was able to join us. Originally, she was not going to be able to, and Vice Chair Tucker was planning to chair the meeting. So we're just going to go ahead and keep it that way for this meeting. So I just wanted to make that point. So with that, Chair Tucker, I will hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting of the Memphis Landmarks Commission for June 25th, 2020 to order. Mr. Secretary, may I have a roll call?
Yes. Chair Cox.
Yes, here.
Ms. Boyd. Ms. Boyd?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Alicia's here. Ms. Boyd's here.
Great, thank you. Mr. Warren?
Present.
Ms. Strong?
Present.
And Vice Chair Tucker?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. The Landmarks Commission and the local historic district guidelines are established to ensure preservation of structures that are of local or of historic value to Memphis. Our function is to preserve significant resources, enhance community pride, foster civic beauty, and ensure compatibility with the locally designated historic districts. The Commission is authorized to review projects and determine their appropriateness based on each district's historic review guidelines. Mr. Secretary, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, although I did want to mention that there are, and it's in the Secretary's report actually, item, but we do have 4 items that are held, and that's item F.1, item F.4, item G.3, and item G.5.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner, will a member who has read the minutes make a motion for their approval? I need a motion for approval for the minutes for May 28, 2020.
This is Commissioner Warren. I move to approve the minutes from May.
Is there a second?
Joyce Cox, I second.
Mr. Secretary, may I get a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Vice Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so we have already had the Secretary's report. You don't have an additional report, correct?
Correct.
Okay. For the minor COAs, the minor certificates of appropriateness listed on the agenda were approved this month by the Commission. Okay, now I'll explain the process. We will now hold public hearings on each of the applications for major certificates of appropriateness. For each case, I will first swear in all parties who wish to speak on the matter. We will then hear testimony from the applicant, followed by those in support of the application, and then finally those in opposition to the application. After the opposition has spoken, the applicant will be allowed a rebuttal period. If you would like to provide, let's see, do y'all have anybody I'll just go case by case since we don't have cards.
Correct. We have people that are in a spreadsheet that are on for opposition and support. So we will notify those on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. All right. Let me go to the first case. Let me get to it. Okay. It looks like, is it MLC? No, that's held. MLC 20036. Is that the first case, Brett?
Yes, that's correct.
All All right, is the applicant present? Is the applicant online?
Yes. Yes, the applicant's here.
Okay, can you state your name and address, please?
Jeremy Dupree. The address is 985 Bruce Street.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Have you read the staff report?
Yes, I have.
Are you in agreement with the staff recommendations?
Yes. From what I was seeing, the staff recommendations approval with 8 conditions, and I plan to meet the 8 conditions. That's not a problem.
Okay. Are there any commissioners who would like to see a presentation or
Yes.
Okay, can I have a
Commissioner
presentation?
Strong, I would like to see the presentation.
Okay, yeah, I have 2 now. Could we have a presentation?
This is Commissioner Warren. I would also like to point out to those that might not be aware that we're essentially watching a presentation for agenda item F2 as well as F3 because they are, if I understand, mirror images of each other. Is that correct, OPD staff?
They are similar. They are beside each other. There are slight differences, and I think that what our plan was is for to do a presentation on the F2, and then the presentation for F3 would be a very short, just minor discussion about the slight differences.
Okay, thank you. Can we have the presentation now?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item before you is a COA request for a new 2-story single-family home in Cooper Young Historic District. Next slide, please.
I'm not getting anything.
Neither am I. This is Miss Boyd.
I believe there's a slight delay in the YouTube presentation.
Well, it's not coming.
It says it's starting soon.
Can you reload your web pages?
Oh, God. Maybe, I don't know.
I had to make sure that I pressed live at the bottom of the video, and then it started popping up for me.
Okay.
It's trying.
That's it. Thank you.
Well, mine's rolling, but I've just got mine just went away completely. Okay, y'all just go. I can't see anything.
Can you look at the hyperlink in the agenda?
We've been having computer problems all day, so I don't know that I can get back to anything. I'm trying. I'm going to try to get back there now. I'm going to try to get back. Hold on. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Subject lot is Lot 12 of Mount Arlington subdivision. The lot is 25 feet wide and 100 feet deep. Proposed structure is to be set back about 19 feet from Bruce Street, not including the proposed 8 feet deep front porch, and with 5 feet side yard setbacks. The proposed driveway is to be 10 feet wide, located along the north property line, and to be shared with the neighboring lot to the north. Next slide, please. The perspective views shows the north and south facades of the proposed structure with a full-width front porch, Dutch gable porch roof, and main roof, attached carport towards the rear of the house, and the attached ground floor storage space behind the carport. Next slide, please. Proposed front facade is about 15 feet wide and detailed with a full-width front porch with a Dutch gable roof and square columns. There is a front door with 3 lights and 2 1/1 windows at the ground floor facade and a smaller 1/1 window on the second floor front facade towards the right side. Next slide, please. Proposed left and right elevations show the proposed windows and the attached carport towards the rear. Next slide, please. Floor plans show the kitchen and living room at the ground floor and 3 bedrooms at the second floor living space. Next slide, please. According to our review, proposed structure partially adheres to Cooper-Young design guidelines requirements, and there are several design elements that should be considered, such as number of stories that is proposed to be 2 in contrast to the 1-story homes along this block of Bruce Street, foundation wall height, and scale of the structure compared to the lot width. Additionally, our office received about 60 letters in opposition from Cooper-Young residents and neighbors, basically voicing the similar issues. Next slide, please. Other design elements that should be considered are setback and the rhythm and proportion of openings and solid to void ratio of the building facades. Foundation wall details, overall architectural style, and amount of hard surface paving found to be not fully consistent with the design guidelines requirements as well. Next slide, please. In accordance with the Cooper-Young design guidelines, we recommend approval of the COA request with 8 conditions as listed in the staff report, page 10. This concludes my staff presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one thing to add to the presentation. Over here, I don't know what it's like on any other computer, but it's a 30-second delay between slides, because I just counted it, just so you'll know how to pace it. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
This is Commissioner Warren. Aisha, will you be able to, after we hear from people in favor and against, will you be able to pull up the Cooper-Young guidelines? I'd like to be able to have those on the screen if possible.
Commissioner Warren, let me see if we can make that happen. If not, we can discuss some of the items. I think some of those are already listed here and on the staff report, but let me see what we can do.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners, do you want to ask any questions of the presentation of staff?
I have a question. This is Ms. Boyd. Ms. Boyd, based on the 8 recommendations by staff, I do understand that there's going to be some support and opposition on both sides, and I gather that my question is, based on the guidelines of Cooper-Young, what is their take on the recommendations?
I believe the Cooper-Young representative that we have on call, Ms. Olivia Wall, would be able to answer that question for you, because we didn't communicate after we posted the staff report online. They didn't give us feedback based on our conditions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners? Okay. Do we need to in support?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do have one person in support. If we can unmute Mr. Witt, I believe.
Let me know when he's there. Mr. Witt?
Hello.
Okay. Is this Mr. Witt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, ma'am. Michael Witt, W-I-T-T, 3170 Shady Oaks Drive in Olive Branch. But I own the property at 9. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, wait a second. I need for you to, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. You have, is it, Brett, is this the only person in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Witt, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I won't need that long, and I do appreciate you considering this. I've owned the property at 993 Bruce, which is one house down, since 2005, and I'm just very much in favor of it. It's been a vacant lot for quite a while now. This section of Bruce between Southern and Young is it's nice. There's some very nice properties, and then there are some that are not as desirable. And to me, this would just be a very positive addition to the street. A brand new home, 2-story home. The design, I'm just very much in favor of it. And that's really all I have to say, and I thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions of this speaker?
I don't.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now we'd like to hear from the opposition. Brett, how do you want to handle this? You said are there several, or?
We have 3.
Okay.
And so I think
so
that
3 minutes, and you have the ability to control. So how do you want to handle it?
we will have Mr. Patrick Durkin on the call first, and I think we will unmute him.
Okay. Does he have a minute, or how are y'all going to do that?
They each have 3 minutes.
They each have 3 minutes. Okay. All right. Is Mr. Durkin online?
Yes.
Okay. Could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Patrick Durkin, and I live at 935 Bruce Street.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, you can proceed.
All right. I have lived here on Bruce Street for the past 11 years. I want to, thank the developer here for changing his ideas throughout this process. However, this project has received over 50 letters in opposition because people in this neighborhood care. We cared enough to get Cooper Young on the National Historic Registry, and this project is the exact reason why I voted for landmarks protection for our neighborhood. While we are here today to talk about the design of this proposal, I think it's important for everyone to know why we are here in the first place and how we got here. Where I live at the north end of Bruce Street, a Memphis developer came in 3 years ago and demolished one house at the corner of Bruce and Oliver Avenue. That same developer put up 4 tall and skinny homes on a lot that used to be one single family residence. This exact same Memphis developer went on to purchase this very lot in question before us today at 985 Bruce. The only reason that we are here today is because the former developer callously demolished a perfectly fine historic home in order to profit off the land and erect 2 tall and skinny homes in its place, exactly what this applicant is doing today. The former developer then went on to purchase 4 additional lots at the corner of Bruce and Southern Avenue, where he intended to do the same thing by slapping up more cookie-cutter designs. Our applicant today currently owns those other empty lots. So this proposal, the proposal before us is not new, innovative, or good infill for the community. It is a piece of property that is only recently vacant because of the recklessness by one developer, and now for the current developer to prosper off the land and build 2 giant homes instead of 1 single-family house. Our neighborhood typically only has 1-story homes built on 25-foot lots, not 2 stories as proposed. As someone who now lives with tall, overbuilt structures just 3 feet from my property, my privacy and everyday life has been uprooted. The applicant owns 4 other properties on this street. This sets a dangerous precedent for what is to come. While we're here today about design, please remember that these types of homes are the reason we tirelessly fought for landmarks protection. And again, it only became vacant property recently for profit versus the care of our community. I am asking the Commission today for help by listening to the community who took the time to write in all those letters in opposition by protecting and preserving Cooper Young. Thank you.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for the speaker? No questions for the speaker? Okay. Could we have the next speaker, Brett?
Yes, and we actually only have one more speaker for in opposition, and that's Miss Olivia Wall, and she is the Cooper Young representative as well, and she can explain that as well. So, is Miss Young unmuted? Yes.
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you state your name and address, please?
Olivia Wall, representing the Cooper Young Community Association Development Committee at 2298 Young Avenue.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Can please continue?
So thank you for hearing from the Cooper Young Community Association Development Committee. We are pleased to see the applicant's willingness to continue to revise plans to get them closer to the guidelines. However, we still feel there are a number of issues which need to be revised for compatibility. Although we agree with the 8 conditions set forth in the staff report, we feel great attention needs to be given to the following areas beyond what is already set forth. 1, the rhythm of solids devoids, particularly the front facade, which has atypical placement of the doors and windows. Looking to 4-square and shotgun-style homes in the neighborhood as a model, the door should be farther from the edge of the structure, and the double window should be centered in the remaining space. The upper story should have a second window on the other side of the gable. Further, the window shapes are too squat for the period of significance. 2, the proportions and pitch on the Dutch gable roof are atypical for the period of significance and frankly looks like a Pizza Hut from the side. 3, the design lacks architectural features from the period of significance. 4, the mass, scale, and rhythm of spacing of the proposed structure is not compatible with the established street block and is against the guidelines. About 60 folks sent in letters of opposition to this project. The major concerns were the mass and overall design. According to the Property Assessor's website, the applicant owns 4 additional 25-foot wide lots on Bruce Street beyond what is being heard here today. Whatever is passed will set a precedent for not only those 4 additional lots, but the neighborhood as a whole. This is the first 25-foot lot in Cooper Young going before this commission. Our homes were torn down in many places to make room for 2 due to a loophole in the UDC, which allows one demolished historic home to be replaced by multiple brand new ones. Please do not see this project as a one-time thing to let skirt by. More projects will be proposed on narrow lots. If you're not ready to approve 5, 10, 15 more of this design in the future, do not let this pass without strict conditions which uphold our guidelines. Please help us shape what appropriate infill looks like in Cooper Young, which respects not only the guidelines, but our history, community, and neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Did the commissioners have any questions of the speaker? No questions for the speaker?
I don't have any. This is Commissioner Strong. I just wanted to circle back, I believe what Commissioner Boyd asked earlier about the staff recommendations for the 8 conditions. Just want to circle back and hear specifically what the Cooper Young Association felt about them, all 8 of them. Thank you.
That's a question for me, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as I said, we agree with the 8 conditions set forth, but we do feel further conditions should be put in place to uphold our guidelines.
Okay. Any more questions for this speaker?
Yes, this is Commissioner Warren. I have a question. One of the things that I'm struggling with this project is it's a 2-story house on a block that has no 2-story houses. Maybe you could say the neighbor to the east is a 2-story house, but it's not really. It just has a really bad shed dormer addition to the front of it. So my question for the speaker is, do you think it is possible to have a 2-story house on this block and meet the guidelines?
I mean, if you look at the guidelines, it's pretty specific that says, the number of stories should be consistent with those of the historic structures built during the period of significance on the same street block. And as you said, on that street block, there is also single family, and as you said, there is the one that has a quasi second story, but it's not a true 2-story home.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for her?
So, Ms. Boyd, to the speaker, Ms. Wall, is Cooper Young not opposed to 2-story homes in the area if they were to meet your other recommendations?
I honestly, I'm representing a committee, so I don't have an answer of what the committee would say. I can say personally, a 25-foot narrow lot, it's very atypical to have a 2-story structure on it, and not to mention this block basically has no 2-story homes on it. So I think that has been what a lot of the opposition is stating, and really goes into the math, is that this is a very, very, very large structure for such a small lot, and part of that is that second story.
Okay. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. The other lot, or the other address, 983 Bruce, isn't it going to be right next door to 985? So, in essence, there will be two-story homes built adjacent to one another. And again,
yes,
I'm saying I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself.
That is correct. And that's the next case. So there are slight differences in the design of those, but they are adjacent to each other. Yes.
And basically the math and the rhythm of those 2 houses echo each other pretty much, though.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Cox. So in accordance to the current guidelines for Cooper Young, are we saying that the 2 stories are not in the guidelines? That is outside of the policy? I think she just had, they put the guidelines up and I didn't get a chance to finish reading them.
The height in new construction is on 6.1.
This is Aisha Tazar with the Office of Planning and Development and the staff planner for this case. So we looked at this section of the design guidelines, which is basically says the new construction should have same number of stories as any existing residential structure constructed during the period of significance on the same street block. And I don't know if you can see your staff reports, page 4, there's a view of the empty lots, the subject lots. And to the immediate left and right of those lots, there are houses which are 2-story tall. I mean, the house to the left is not really visible in that visual, but it has a second floor addition towards the rear of the house. And then the one on the right side, the blue house that is visible in that visual, has an immediate second floor addition with a shed roof, like the one that Mr. Warren reminded us.
Okay.
To be clear, I pointed it out as a bad example of a second floor addition.
Well, I agree.
So do we need a motion to discuss? Can OPD staff remind us how this works?
Wait, we need, I think at this point, he has
a rebuttal.
Yeah, rebuttal, 2-minute rebuttal for the applicant if he wants one.
Okay, he is unmuted.
Okay. I forgot his name.
Jeremy. And the main thing that I would add is we've went back to the drawing board with the plans. We've tried to adjust them multiple times, and we plan to adjust them again to meet the 8 conditions that were recommended by the staff. We only want to bring value to the Cooper Young neighborhood. We really like the Cooper Young neighborhood, and that's why we have the other properties in the neighborhood. We just want to bring value to it. And so that's why we've tried to work through the plans, and we've tried to meet everything that has been requested of us, even when they've came back. And I've also read every letter of opposition and tried to adjust the plans to meet everyone as much as we can. And so that's really the most that I can add at this time. And, we're flexible. We're trying to make sure we hear everyone so that way we build homes that go great with Cooper Young and, really help all of the neighbors and everyone there.
Okay. Do the commissioners have a question for this applicant before I close the public hearing and ask for a motion?
This is Commissioner Strong. I have a question for the applicant, Jeremy Dupree, right? Is it Dupree?
Yes, that's correct.
My question for you, after hearing what you just said, would you be willing, instead of 2 stories, to instead build 1 story? New construction on both of those properties, 985 Bruce and 983 Bruce Street?
Well, no, I didn't say
residents or neighborhood.
Oh, I was saying, we're willing to, we've adjusted things a lot already. The goal is to do a 2-story. That was never, anytime let's say the plans have come back, it wasn't anything like we could not do a 2-story home.
Mm-hmm.
So when we've made numerous adjustments to the plans of the 2-story home to meet all of the guidelines of Cooper Young and the staff recommendations.
So considering that the existing residential structures constructed during the period of significance on that street block, and they're primarily 1 story, would you as a developer for the 2 properties, 985 and 983 Bruce, be willing to consider 1 story instead of 2 stories?
I mean, it's not that we're not willing to consider it. We need the second story to get the maximum square footage to kind of what our vision is for the property. So I mean, if the commission says that we cannot build a 2-story, that would be different, and we would have to. But the goal is to do a 2-story. If that makes sense, what I'm saying. If you all say we cannot do 2-story, then we would have to go back to the drawing board. But every time that we have resubmitted the plans, the second story hasn't been the issue of we just need to knock down the second story, but we've adjusted the second story, windows, everything, and went back and tried to adjust it so that we meet all of the setback requirements and everything that's required, that's been asked of us.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions before I ask for a motion?
I have a question for staff. I don't know if it's the appropriate time.
Brett?
Yes, that would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Commissioner Warren. When was this lot subdivided from 50 feet wide to 25 feet wide?
I don't have the answer to that.
Or was it just ballpark? Was it? I mean, clearly it was not originally that way. The historic neighborhood site plan showed a single house on this lot that's been subdivided, correct?
Yes, and possibly Mr. Dupree. I think he purchased it from someone out of...
The original subdivision.
Okay, the original subdivision was 25-foot lots.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's consistent with the page 102. I can't believe I'm saying that. Page 102 of the packet shows a single-family house on a 50-foot wide lot.
Correct, but they may have been combined. But I'm talking about the original subdivision when it was originally subdivided. Now, those two lots were likely combined at some point for that single-family home originally built there.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, but historically there were not two structures on this on the land in question for this application for F1 and F2 and F3.
Correct. There was a single-family home on two lots.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Does someone want to make a motion for discussion?
Do we need a motion to discuss? Then I'll make a motion to approve this case with staff conditions.
I second.
In the interest of moving it forward. Well, we have to vote on it, or can we discuss it?
No, we discussed. Oh, sorry.
Don't we have to vote?
No, we can discuss now.
I always have trouble with this part. Can we not just have a conversation about this project?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
Is it fair for me to offer my opinions, OPD staff? Or do we need a formal motion to move this into a discussion phase?
No, we have a motion and a second, and so it can be discussed.
Oh, we had a second? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think this is a very challenging project, and I think that Mr. Durkin really explained a lot of concerns very well. And I know that I had some positive things to say about this project at the design review 3 weeks ago, but I don't think that I fully appreciated the context of the proposal for these two projects for agenda items F2 and F3. I would really like to see this project built, but I don't know that I am in favor of it as it's proposed. I would love to see the vacant lots developed. The architect in me finds the floor plans really innovative, but that doesn't mean they're appropriate. I took a Google Street View drive to the corner of Bruce and Oliver to look at the 4 skinny houses that were built before Cooper Young became a district. And to me, they speak directly, the sort of contrast there, the duck, 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 goose, or rather a goose, 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 ducks, whatever you want to call it. they really speak to the language of the guideline. And I'm going to read, the staff, Brett, you are correct. The staff report quotes the applicable guidelines, but I don't agree with some of the affirmative yeses that staff listed. To read you guys the general principles, it says new residential buildings shall be compatible with existing residential structures constructed during the period of significance on the same street block in terms of style, height, scale, setback, rhythm, massing, materials. So height, scale, and massing are not at all compatible, really. Mm-hmm. And I'm sympathetic to this, but I don't know what you do with a 25-foot wide lot. I mean, you need to build, to me, the only thing that's really going to work there is a one-story house, but I don't even know how a house has a driveway. This novel design, and again, I find it intriguing, shares a driveway for the two lots, and maybe a one-story house or a 1.5-story house that has sort of a loft in it or something. But, I'll wrap up my comments, but it goes on, section 6.2, page 12 of the guidelines. Again, more about mass and scale. But here's one. The front elevation shall appear similar in scale and width to the residential structures on the same street block. There's nothing about a 15-foot wide house that is at all similar in width. And again, I would encourage you guys to look at Bruce and Oliver and Google Street View and see these narrow houses that, whatever got in at the last hour before Cooper Young became a district. But that is why the bulk of the neighborhood wanted the district status, and that is why we have an unprecedented number of opposition letters, over 50. So I can't.
Yeah, look at 6.4 too. Everything in building, mass, scale, and form.
Yeah.
Not consistent. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just have to, ask what was the neighborhood thinking when they wanted to become a district, and I frankly think they want to avoid the type of project that's at Bruce and Oliver. And I also appreciate Miss Wall's comments that this isn't about one case or even the two cases, F2 and F3 on our agenda. This is about, dozens of properties in Cooper Young. And again, just to my fellow commissioners, we've never seen so many opposition letters, not even close. I don't remember half this many on a single project.
Yeah. They're very passionate. Is there more discussion from the commissioners?
I personally don't have anything further.
Okay. Do we want to make a motion? Is that what we do next?
Well, we do have a motion in the affirmative, so all motions are made in the affirmative. So we have the current motion on the table.
This is Commissioner Warren. I'll put a motion in the affirmative for which I plan to vote no. I move to approve.
We already have a motion. Commissioner Warren.
We have that.
We already have a motion and a second, so if we are ready to vote, if there's no more discussion.
Let's go for a vote.
Okay. Ms. Boyd?
No.
Ms. Strong?
No.
Mr. Warren?
No.
Ms. Cox?
No.
Vice Chair Tucker?
No.
Motion fails.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we got the next one, too. Is MLC 20037, 983 Bruce Street, Cooper Young Historic District. We have to vote. We have to discuss this and vote on this as well. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You just have to state your name and address again. You've already been sworn in.
Jeremy Dupree, 983 Bruce Street.
Okay, thank you. I have to ask you if you've reviewed the staff report and your agreement with the staff recommendations.
Yes, I am, and yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. Brett, where should we go with this on this? The same process?
Yes, and so if the applicant actually has anything that he wants to add at this point, he can before, and I'm not sure if we have anyone that wants to speak. The former case had the same support and opposition, so if they would like to speak again, I believe they can, so we can just follow the same procedure.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dupree, would you like to say anything else?
I'm really just taking in all of you all's comments. I know it'll be the same thing for this one as well with what happened with 985. So just trying to see, what we need to do. From what I'm taking from it is it might have to be a one-story home in order to move forward. So I'm just listening to the comments, taking it in, and ready to go back to the drawing board and adjust with the contractor.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any, does the commissioners want to see the presentation for this particular one as well?
No.
Okay.
No. But I do have a question.
Okay.
What's the total square footage?
The square footage is about 1,400 square feet living space for both.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone? Go ahead. Is there anyone who does want to speak in support or against?
Yes, Mr. Witt, you are unmuted if you would like to speak.
No, I would just have repeated the same thing that I said earlier. I would still be in favor of the project going forward. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Mr. Durkin in opposition, if he would like to speak, and then Ms. Wall.
Yes. Again, thank you for hearing from me. These proposals are obviously not appropriate for Cooper Young, as this developer does not seem to understand our neighborhood. When we were approved with the historic overlay, the idea was to stop this type of development. And the fact that both of these designs require a giant cutout for parking and have to share the same driveway is proof that this concept is too large in mass and scale. And for me, on my end of Bruce Street, it's already too late for me. I already have these houses towering over me, and the only thing I can do is try to re-landscape. But if you guys could help the other end of Bruce, we really appreciate it. And you've received all these emails in opposition, and just please help preserve Cooper Young. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Wall, if you would like to speak.
Thank you again for hearing from us. Due to similarities to 985 Bruce Street, the majority of our comments are the same. As I already stated, we are representing a neighborhood that overwhelmingly does not want this project. All we are asking for is strict adherence to the guidelines in order to keep infill appropriate. And this project is just not compatible. It will set a precedent. Whatever happens here today will shape future decisions by this commission. Please do not approve inappropriate infill, which does not uphold our guidelines. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we can make a motion.
Well, if Mr. Dupree would like to have any rebuttal, he does have 2 minutes.
Okay.
No rebuttal for me.
Okay. Are we ready for a motion?
Yes.
This is Commissioner Warren. I move to approve the project in question, subject to staff conditions.
Okay. So do we have some discussion?
We
I
need
plan
a
to vote
second.
no. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead. Somebody second.
I can't hear it. What?
I second.
Okay.
This
We have a vote.
Commissioner Warren, quick discussion or really an acknowledgement to the applicant. I know that you have been working on these plans, and I appreciate that very, very much. And I don't want to come across as an obstacle or have our body be an obstacle in this process. And I hope you appreciate our role with respect to serving that district at large. And, we do look forward to some other version of this project's development on these properties.
Okay. And we had a second, I believe.
Correct.
Can we call for a vote?
Yes. Ms. Strong?
No.
Ms. Boyd?
No.
Mr. Warren?
No. No.
Ms. Cox?
No.
Vice Chair Tucker?
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you. Okay. Next is MLC. Okay. 20039 is being held, correct?
I'm sorry, what was
Yes.
the question?
Yes. 20039.
Is being
F4.
Okay. And F.
Yes, F.5 is the next case.
Okay. And MLC 20050 1465 North Parkway, Evergreen Historic District. Is the applicant present?
Joseph Kyle's on the line.
Okay, thank you. Could you state your name and address, please, sir?
1465 North Parkway. We had our architect, Self Tucker, on the line, but since we were 30 minutes late getting started, he had to get on another call. We also had our neighbor, Neil, was on the line, but he had to do a refinancing, so I don't have any of my support.
Okay. Can I swear you in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, Brett, since this has happened, do we just go forward with this?
Yes, so Mr. Kyles does have the chance to speak at this point, and then we don't have... excuse me, 1 second.
Uh-huh.
May I say something, Madam Chairwoman?
Yeah.
If there are individuals in opposition, and since we've been on the line since 3:50, and I understand the challenges in people's schedules, but I don't have my architect. Many of the commissioners wanted to hear from my architect. He was on the line for an hour and a half, or an hour and 20 minutes, and also had our supporting neighbor who was a homeowner, who was also on the line. He's a doctor, and he's trying to refinance his home. If there are individuals that are on the line today on this call in opposition, then I am at a disadvantage because we were here, we were on time, and we were made to wait.
Yes, sir, I understand. Okay, Brett, how do you want to proceed with this because of this particular situation?
Madam Chair, if you could give me a moment, let me check with something.
Okay.
Chair Tucker, I would like to ask if the applicant, considering that he has support and his architect that could be available, would be amenable to a 30-day hold in order to have them present at the next commission meeting.
I couldn't hear that because the message was coming through about unmuted. What were you saying, Mr. Ragsdale?
Oh, yes. I was asking if you would be amenable to a 1-month hold to hold it till July so that you could have your representative, architect, and support in the meeting.
Do we have opposition on the call to our development?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Yes, sir. I would like to hold it.
Okay. And I think thank you. So with that, I don't think we need to vote. I think it's just a 1-month hold, and so we will place that on the July agenda.
Thank you, and we appreciate your patience, and we would like to hear from your architect for sure. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. So the next is G1, MLC 20055, 1766 Carr Avenue, Central Gardens Historic District. Is the applicant present?
Yes. And Mr. Yulhorn, you are unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Would you state your name and address, please?
This is Walker Yulhorn, 79 West Galloway, Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Have you seen the staff report?
Yes.
Are you in agreement with the staff recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does the commissioner, any commissioners want to see the presentation?
I don't.
I'm okay without it.
Okay. Is there anyone in support or opposition?
We do have Ms. Rainwater, who is the the Central Gardens representative, and Ms. Rainwater, if you would like to, you're unmuted.
Okay, I'm here.
Can you state your name and address, please?
Shelley Rainwater, 1432 Harbert.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Continue, please.
All right, Central Gardens thinks it's a well-designed project, and we don't have any objections. I'm not sure you even needed me to say that.
I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners of anybody?
None here.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Yes, I move that we
Go ahead.
approve. I'm sorry.
A second.
Go ahead, Joyce.
I second Commissioner Cox's motion.
Joyce?
Do I need to? No, I approve. Okay, I move that we approve MLC 20-055, 1766 Carr Avenue, Central Gardens Historic District, in accordance with staff recommendation.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Vice Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is G2, MLC 20069, 1188 Faxon Avenue, Speedway Terrace Historic District. Is the applicant present.
You should be unmuted.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, can you state your name and address, please?
My name is Miriam Moss. It is 1188 Saxon Avenue. And then my partner, Chastity Wamble, is also on the line. Chastity, she might be muted.
Hello.
Okay,
Hey.
thank you.
I'm here.
Can you state your name and address, please?
Chastity Wamble, 1188 Saxon Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Have you read the staff report?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, are you in agreement with the staff recommendations?
Yes, we will correct that, yes.
Okay. Does the commissioners, do they want a presentation?
I don't.
This is Commissioner Strong. I would like to see a presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Should we have the staff presentation, please?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Aisha Teza with the Office of Planning and Development, and I'm presenting this case in behalf of my colleague, Mr. Backus. Item before you is a COA request for a new construction of a one-story single-family home in Speedway Terrace Historic District. Subject lot is a vacant 8,000 square feet lot at the northeast corner of North Bellevue Boulevard and Faxon Avenue. Next slide, please. Site plan shows the proposed home facing Faxon Avenue with a 3 feet wide walkway and partial width front porch. Driveway is from North Bellevue Boulevard, leading to the rear yard and to the proposed carport. There is also a 6 feet tall wooden fence enclosing the rear yard area. Next slide, please. The front elevation shows the 24-inch high brick foundation walls, the front porch to the left of the front facade with 12-inch box columns and asphalt shingle roof. The exterior material is horizontal siding with 6-inch reveal and 4-inch corner boards. Windows are 4/1 with 4-inch casings. Gable ends are hardy stucco siding with 4-inch batten boards, and the roof overhang is 18 inches. Next slide, please. The partial west elevation shows the rear part of the left elevation of the house with the proposed fence on top of the retaining wall and the concrete curb cut and driveway and the proposed carport towards the rear of the lot with a small storage space. Next slide, please. According to the staff review, proposed new construction mostly adheres to the Speedway Terrace design guidelines, but proportion and rhythm of openings can be improved as stated in section 2.2.2 of the Speedway Terrace design guidelines. Next slide, please. The staff's recommendation for this COA request is approval with 4 conditions as listed in the page 14 of the staff report. This concludes the staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? Commissioners?
I had a question.
None here.
Okay, this is Commissioner Strong. In the staff report, it was under 2.3.1C, and it mentioned for this particular new construction property, the window voids in the right and left side elevations near the front of the home and highly visible from the street should have windows to match. And I was wondering if that was going to, basically if the applicants were going to adhere to what was mentioned in the staff report on that.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
In the staff report under section 2.3.1c, where they're talking about the window and voids, it says, since it's a corner property, a corner lot property, the window and voids in the right and left side elevations near the front of the home, which are highly visible from the street, they shouldn't match. And that's sort of what I had more questions about from staff in the staff report.
Yes, condition number 4 basically requires that they do that, and it would come back for our review to make sure that they adhere to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of the applicant?
No question.
Commissioner Warren, did you have one?
No. No, I have no questions.
Anyone else? Okay. Are there any people in support?
Yes, we have Miss Hazelton, who is the Speedway Terrace representative. Miss Hazelton, you are unmuted.
Thank you. Ms. Hazelton, would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Cheryl Hazelton, and 1267 Saxon Avenue.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Continue, please.
I would just like to say that Speedway Terrace Historic District is in support of this project. And the main concern that the neighborhood had was this is one of the significant entrances to the neighborhood off of one of the major streets, Bellevue. And being on the corner, we were concerned with the fence and the retaining wall on the Bellevue side of the project, the west side of the house. And I believe that was addressed during the design guidelines, and it seems that it's very accessible to the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Did the commissioners have any questions for the speaker?
This is Commissioner Warren. I want to thank you guys for putting together a new drawing since the design review discussion. I think that side elevation is a new drawing, if I'm not mistaken, per our request. So thank you for that. Do you know roughly how tall the retaining wall is? Maybe it looks like about 30 inches, like 2.5 to 3 feet.
Yep, it was like 2 feet and it got up to just under 3 feet.
Okay. Is it existing or new?
It's existing. And my plan was we have to remove all of that brush, and then we were going to take it up, and if it can be repaired, we'll repair it. If not, we'll just put the retaining wall back.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess I'm sorry. I have one more question. So the facade, the left, what we call the left elevation on page 23 of the presentation, that's facing Bellevue, correct? So there's a large, maybe this is what the staff condition number 4 is in reference to, but is there a way to introduce a little more like interest, like even just one window? There's a big blank section of the building facing Bellevue. These corner properties are always challenging, and it's a very handsome house, and I think it's doing a lot of things nicely. I'm just curious about that. Maybe the staff, maybe OPD staff, who could elaborate on condition 4. What does that exactly mean?
Yes, that's what it's referring to is really looking at the solids and voids along that wall and that elevation, and adding windows and spacing them appropriately. So that should cover it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, can I have a motion?
Sure. Commissioner Warren here. I move to approve this Faxon Avenue case MLC 20-69069, subject to staff conditions.
Can I have a second? Anybody?
Second, Commissioner Boyd.
Okay, can I have a vote?
Yes. Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
And Chair Tucker?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next is G4 MLC 20071 1247 Snowden Avenue, Speedway Terrace Historic District. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Are they there?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Barely. Could you state your name and address?
Jason Jackson, 1264 Yorkshire Drive.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Have you read seen the staff report?
I have.
Are you in agreement with the staff report?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Would any commissioner want to see the presentation?
I would like to see the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item before you is a COA request for a new construction of a one-story single-family home in Speedway Terrace Historic District. Next slide, please. Subject lot is currently vacant, located at the southeast corner of Snowden Avenue and North Montgomery Street. Next slide, please. Site plan shows the proposed structure with a partial width front porch, perimeter fence, and a carport at the rear right corner of the lot with alley access. Next slide, please. Exterior materials are fiber cement siding, asphalt shingle roof, wooden fence, and a section of gabion wall along the left east property line. Front elevation shows the front porch with 8x8 wooden posts and a 4 feet tall concrete finish wall at the front. The house has casement windows and the front door with transom. Next slide, please. West facade facing North Montgomery Street shows the front porch extending, casement windows, and the proposed carport with a flat roof and 8x8 posts. The east facade shows the proposed wall about 41 feet in length and 7 feet in height, and the wooden rear yard fence with the same height. Next slide, please. Proposed floor plan illustrates the front porch at the front extending towards the midpoint of the right side of the facade, a wooden deck on the left of the house behind the proposed fence, and the 10 feet by 20 feet carport at the rear right corner of the structure. Next slide, please. Proposed new construction mostly adheres to the Speedway Terrace design guidelines. One issue that needs to be addressed is the proposed foundation height being 18 inches, and the design guidelines require foundation walls to be minimum 24 inches. Next slide, please. Another issue to be considered is the proposed fence along the west property line facing North Montgomery Street. The proposed fence is about 7 feet in height, and the design guidelines dictate corner lot fences to be maximum 6 feet in height. Additionally, proposed location of this section of the fence is encroaching into the public land right at the end of the existing sidewalk. Encroachment shall require an easement agreement with the city real estate, and the design guidelines require corner lot fences to be set back minimum 3 feet from the sidewalk. Without an encroachment agreement, the fence shall be on the west property line, set back about 15 feet from the sidewalk. Next slide, please. Staff recommends approval of the COA request in accordance with Speedway Terrace design guidelines with 4 conditions as listed in staff report page 10. And we have one optional suggestion to the applicant to consider having new openings on the west wall of the front porch. This concludes my staff presentation. I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do commissioners have questions? Okay. Any questions from the commissioner?
Commissioner Boyd, did the applicant decide which of number 3 he was going to adhere to? Whether or not they would get, I'm asking, yeah, the staff.
Okay.
They didn't actually tell us their preference about the condition number 3. So I have no information about that.
Okay. Did you want to ask that of the applicant?
Yes, I can do that.
Can we unmute the applicant?
Yes, he is unmuted, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, I'm sorry. He was breaking up there a lot. Was there a question? I'm sorry.
Yes, I believe the question was.
Go ahead, Rick.
That's okay, Commissioner Boyd, if you would like to ask your question again.
Mr. Jackson, I was just wondering which of the recommendations were you going to adhere to in the number 3, the recommendation, staff, based on the staff recommendation?
Okay, yeah, good question. Thank you. I think we will pursue getting the encroachment agreement. I mean, that's a lot of space back there that would be great for their backyard, and as long as the house is, they do have a limited backyard space. So I think we will pursue the encroachment agreement so that they do have a little bit more enclosed, secured backyard space. So we would look at pushing the fence back to 3 feet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Are there other questions?
Yeah, how tall is the proposed fence?
We will meet the 6 feet standard. I think I just missed that. That was not our intent to be taller than the 6 feet, the maximum of 6 feet.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you're aware of that.
Okay. Any other?
I have a question for the applicant. From the predominant neighborhood architecture styles in the neighborhood, based on your design, the modern interpretation, which style or which version is it based upon? Because they have colonial revival, craftsman, minimal traditional, Tudor revival, bungalow, foursquare, English cottage, and shotgun variations as the predominant styles in the neighborhood.
Sure, yeah, and I wouldn't say that it would prescribe to any one of those very particularly, but the closest one would probably be minimal traditional.
To which one? Hello?
Minimal traditional. If you were to prescribe one of those particular styles as the inspiration for this new construction, I would lean towards the minimal traditional, but it has aspects of others as well.
Any additional questions?
No, I mean, this is Commissioner Warren. I'll just comment that we had some discussion at the design committee meeting earlier in the month. And I think that basically the gist of several opinions that were expressed, I can't remember who was on that call, were that this project is, I really like this project because it reminds us that if you read the district guidelines, almost without exception, ironically, Cooper Young is a little bit tricky because it uses historic style, the words historic style. But none of the other districts really prescribe that we replicate a historic style, and the emphasis is placed on mass, scale, form, setback, rhythm, all these words we hear. And I think that, here's a direct line from Speedway Terrace. The use of architectural details that add visual interest to the street are encouraged. So this job is just full of details that add tons of visual interest. And it goes on to say that the imitation or exact copying of older historic styles is discouraged, as this blurs the distinction between old and new. So I'm thrilled to see this project, and I wish we could see more like them. I know that there would be people, and maybe people in this district, but certainly in other districts, they would come out and bang the drum against it. We don't have that, fortunately. But I just want to remind the commissioners that this type of architecture, contemporary interpretations are allowed, and I think it's a very strong project. So I'm really in favor.
Yeah, I was in on that on the design review also. This is Cindy, and my notes had a modern take on minimalist forms on historic. I think it's lovely. I think it's a lot.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners. We appreciate that.
Well, I have to disagree in terms of, I think it's great that modern interpretation is in the design guidelines for Speedway Terrace, and also we see modern interpretations of historic structures throughout. However, I think there are plenty of Midtown neighborhoods that have had a structure similar to this plopped or rammed in through them, and it may not be a two-story. This is a downsized version where it's one story versus two. And so I would just say that I don't think that it's remotely cohesive with the surrounding architecture on the block. And that's, if you look at new construction, it should be compatible with neighboring structures in regarding to building mass, scale, and form. I just disagree. It's great to see new construction and modern interpretations, but I also think there's a sense of place, and I think it's great for some neighborhoods and areas, and others it's not necessarily compatible or sensitive to the surrounding character, and that's just my perspective. So for me, I would be voting no, but it's great to see new construction, but I also think we should be sensitive to the context of not only a block or neighborhood, but a surrounding community. And we've seen spots in where neighborhoods have had, where they haven't had landmarks designation, historic designation. And here we see an example of where this neighborhood has fought for landmarks designation, and it's possibly happening to them.
Actually, I was in that neighborhood today. I think there is one that's similar to this near there.
It's separate neighborhood. They haven't received landmarks designation yet.
Okay.
And that was the version of what they did without being required to adhere to design guidelines. So this is a version of having to adhere to some historic guidelines versus the original one further down the street or 2 streets over.
Okay. Are there is there any support? Where we have any in support for again?
Yes, we do have. I think the applicant if they want to speak right now, they do have a rebuttal. I think that some of the discussion has been, prior to their presentation. If they want a presentation, we also do have the neighborhood representative, Ms. Hazelton, who was on to speak in support as well. So I believe if the applicant wants to speak for a moment here, he can do that, and then we can go to Ms. Hazelton.
Yes, thank you. And, we did have to adhere to the landmarks guidelines for this project, and we enjoyed meeting with Cheryl, Ms. Hazelton, and Justin, the neighborhood representatives of Speedway Terrace, to give us their thoughts, and we incorporated some of their suggestions to, generate a house that was in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and we think we've come up with a really successful solution that meets the Andersons' goals for their new home, but is in keeping with the scale, rhythm. We're very careful to include the lines of the neighborhood, so the eave heights, the window heights, the rhythm and proportions of things. But then, as Commissioner Warren spoke, especially for new construction, giving it the characteristics and details that are in keeping of new construction, that doesn't mimic those historic styles, so as not to reduce the integrity of those existing houses. We look at our interpretation of those details as significant to the preservation of these neighborhoods and keeping those houses as the special and unique houses that they were, constructed in the period that they were. We feel it's important to be constructing in the period that we're in now, but in sensitive and contextual ways. So we appreciate meeting with the neighborhood representatives and incorporating their input, and hopefully you'll find this as a successful addition to the neighborhood as we do.
Okay. Thank you. Can we have, is Cheryl?
Yes, Ms. Hazelton, you are unmuted.
Okay. Cheryl Hazelton, 1266 Saxton.
Thank you.
Sorry?
I said thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, speaking for the Speedway Terrace Historic District, we are in support of this. We do understand that although there was some concern about how modern or how it did not possibly fit into the neighborhood, I do think that the details that Jason has brought into the house do accent some of these homes that are in the surrounding area as far as roof line and the spatial balance. We are actually thrilled with the design. It's really artistic, and it is still complimentary.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have a question about speaker? Okay, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion?
Sure, Commissioner Warren here. I move to approve our agenda item G4, MLC case 20-071, subject to any staff conditions.
I second that.
Okay. A vote?
Yes. Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Ms. Strong? I'm sorry, Ms. Strong?
No.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any new business?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and the next meeting will be Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. Ask for adjourn.
I second the motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.